Good evening, student. Let us discuss our third lab, which is based on the decision tree. The problem statement is Melbourne is currently experiencing a housing bubble. Maybe someone can find a trend or give a prediction. Which suburbs are best to buy in? Which ones are value for money? Where's the expensive side of the town? And more importantly, where should I buy two-bedroom unit? And predict the price of the house. So we are going to focus on this problem statement. Once our model is built, you can answer this question also. For this, we are going to use Melbourne housing market dataset. Here I am showing one example of decision tree, how decision tree works. So here we are going to decide whether to accept the job offer or not. Okay, so now we will have multiple parameters to decide. First one may be the salary is between this much range. If so, then we'll consider other factors. Otherwise, we'll straightforward decline that offer. Then second parameter is office near to the home. Okay, so second parameter is the distance. Okay, if it is far, then we are declining. Otherwise, then provides a cab facility. If yes, then accept the offer. Okay, so likewise in decision tree there will be multiple nodes. As you can see, this is a categorical data. Last two are the categorical data, and first one is the numerical data. Okay, so if the salary is between this value, okay, then we are going to this left branch, otherwise right branch. Okay, so if you have numerical data, then we can have a comparison operator there. Okay, like salary greater than this, then you check next parameter, otherwise you go to the right side of the tree. Okay, and if you have a categorical data, then you can have true or false, right? Okay, so this type of a data is possible in the decision tree. Okay, so let us begin. So we will first download the data. You remember our step. First step is to download our data set. Okay, so you search for that data set on Google. Okay, and you will get a Kaggle link. Then here you, from using this download button, you download this data set. Now from here you try to understand the data present in this data set. So how many CSVs are there? So for this dataset we have two CSVs. So let us see. First CSV file name is Melbourne house price less, and second one is Melbourne housing full. Okay, maybe this second CSV is containing entire data. Okay, so we'll consider this data. Okay, now here I will click on full. Now let us see what are the columns present there. So total 21 columns are present. Okay, so let us see these columns. We will try to study means interpret what is there in this CSV file. First parameter is suburb. Okay, so here we have total 33,430 values. Here we have total 351 unique values. Okay, these are total values are there. Okay, and we have 351 unique values. Okay, maybe these are the areas in Melbourne. Okay, so let us open this file. So I have already downloaded this file. So here I have Melbourne housing full.csv. Let us open that file. Okay, so now here we have suburb column. These are the values in suburb all columns. Okay, so if I see downwards, okay, so these are the names of different areas present in Melbourne. Okay, next column is the address column. Okay, address of those houses, then number of rooms, address. Okay, then type, HU, what is this? So here we have three values. Okay, HU and one more is there, HU and T. So I don't know what is this HU and T. So let us search for that. We'll see in T. In detail. Type. Okay, so here description is not given. Okay, so maybe these are the three different types of houses. Then we have prices, and there are many blank null values in the price. Okay, then we have method. What is method? Let us see what is the meaning of method. Here we have total 9 unique values. Okay, let us see. S S V B S P P I. Okay, then we have seller G. Okay, so here we have different seller names, I think. Then we have date, maybe date of construction. Then distance, distance 2.5. how many unique values are there in distance? Okay, so it is number. Okay, these hash symbols represent number, this A represents string value. So here we have mean is 11.2. okay, maybe the distance from center of the city. Then postcode, then bedrooms. Okay, so mean is 3.08. okay, so number of bedrooms. Then bathrooms. Okay, so here we have mean of 1.62. okay, so it will be a number. Then car, I think it is a car parking. Then land size, building area, then year built. Okay, council area, latitude, longitude, then region name, then property count. That's it. Okay, we had price at the top. Okay, this is regarding the data set. Then so let us begin. So this is the notebook that I have created. Okay, so I am reading the CSV, full.csv using read underscore CSV method. So now I am printing the data types of various attributes. Okay, so here we have object. Now what does this object data type represents? So if you have a combination of numeric data and string type of data, then the data type of that attribute will be object. If you have purely integer type of data, then we will have either integer or float type of data. Okay, so if the data means if there is a consistency in the data, then you will have a particular data type, otherwise the data type will be object. Okay, so this is these are different attributes present and these are their data types. Okay, then we can execute a describe command to describe the data set. Okay, so we have near about 34,000 rows. Okay, here in price column we have less. This is 2.7 into 10 to the power 4, that means near about 27,000. okay, so we have to find how many nulls are there for every attribute. Okay, by executing a head command we can get the 5 top tuples. Okay, so these are the data. Okay, so we have nan. Okay, and lots of blanks are there. This command, unique command, is used to print how many unique values are there. Okay, so I wanted to find how many unique values are there for suburb attribute. Okay, so now I have used len here. So let me change this. If I just remove len, okay, then it will give me unique values present in that column. Okay, so I wanted to check what is the meaning of suburb. Okay, so if I enclose that in len, I will get how many unique values are there in that. Okay, so total 351 values, unique values are there under suburb column. Now so we have seen that there are many null values. Okay, so we have to find how many nulls value are there, because they will create a problem during model creation. For finding null I am using isNull function. Okay, so now it will consider all the columns where we have null in at least one place. Okay, so if we replace any with all, then it will find columns where we have all null at all the places. Okay, so this is the meaning of this function. Now I am finding sum of such fields. Okay, so we have 7,600 nulls in price. Okay, and so on. We have seen there are multiple ways in which we can handle nulls. Okay, so either we can directly delete such rows. One row represent one record, right? So we can either delete entire row containing a null, or we can replace that particular row with a mean or a median of that column. Okay, consider we have price. Now price is a numerical data, so now we can replace that particular field and which is having a null value with the average of that column. Or if it is a categorical data, for example bedroom, okay, so now bedroom will be a integer value. Okay, so if you replace by a mean value, then it may get a floating value. Okay, so instead of that we can replace that value with a median of that column. So these are different strategies in which we can handle a null. Now there are total how many rows? So for rooms, how many nulls are there? For rooms we have, okay, rooms, we don't have null in rooms. Okay, so there are total 34,000 tuples are there, and if you remove near about 8,000 tuples from that, then there will be a significant loss. Okay, so now we'll decide means what to do, whether to replace that value with a mean or median, or whether to delete that rows. Okay, so 34 and 8,000, that means near about 20 to 25% of the percent of loss. So now I'm just deleting the rows which is having null. You can try replacing with mean value. Okay, in the previous lab I have shown you the function to replace with mean. Now out of these all attributes, we want to select the attribute based on which we are going to predict the price of the house. Okay, so for that I am using the correlation operation. We have already seen correlation operation, but this time I am showing the correlation by using a heat map. Okay, now what is the meaning of this heat map? Now here we can get a correlation between any two pairs of the attribute. Okay, so now for example we are interested in price. Okay, so now you look for the correlation of price with other variables. Okay, so now when we have higher value, now correlation varies from negative to the maximum 1. Okay, so if we have higher correlation, that means those two attributes are highly correlated. Now you search for lighter colors. Okay, so now we can see price is very much correlated with the rooms. Then the correlation between the same attributes will be 1, so we are having white in the diagonal. Then for a distance we have black. Okay, so price is not related to distance. Then postcode, okay, there is less correlation. Then bedroom, bathroom has good correlation. Okay, and so on. Okay, so based on using this, there is correlation between longitude also. Price depends on latitude and longitude. Even if we are getting less correlation, but we will consider latitude and longitude in our as our feature. Okay, and let us see means what is the accuracy that we will get, and then we will remove one feature at a time. Okay, and we will see we will find a set of features based on which we can predict the price more accurately. By using this heat map I have selected these features. Okay, so what I am going to do, I am selecting those features from the database data frame. Okay, so I have extracted those features. Okay, so now this temporary df is containing the columns, these columns only. Then okay, so for simplicity I am just dropping the rows where we have nulls. Okay, we have seen this function drop na. Then this price should be there in a y, because we are going to predict price, so price will be there in y and remaining features will be there in x. So now we have updated df, so it is after dropping the null rows, so we are having these features in x and price in y. So now I am applying same function here. Okay, to find out how many nulls are there. We are getting a empty series here. Here I'm just wanted to check what is the data present in our drop df. Okay, so we have these attributes for predicting a price. Okay, so we have to use a decision tree regressor. So I'm using a scikit-learn library. Then I'm using a train test split to split the data in training and testing. Then so we have a training set and testing set. Okay, so I'm using a decision tree regressor. Okay, so we have created object of that model. Now we will fit that model, okay, for the training set. Then our model is created here, okay, with the most of the values are kept by default. Now we have created a regressor, okay, so we can use a mean absolute error or r square error for prediction. So now we will predict for the our test data, okay, so that y underscore prediction is the prediction of our model. Now we can find the error. So y prediction and y test are the actual values. Their difference indicates the error. Okay, so that is calculated in mean error. Okay, so this is our mean absolute error. And what is about r square error? So I am going to use this r2 square metric from sklearn, and this is the value. So total accuracy of this model is 0.66. So now if we remove some of these attributes and add some other attribute, so then this accuracy may get increase. Okay, and we have lost around 20 to 25% data. Okay, so you try different replacing strategies. Okay, so and try to improve this accuracy. You should get around 0.75 R2 score. So this is regarding decision tree regressor, but actually decision tree are more suitable for the classification task, just like the example that we have seen here. By mistake I have selected this data set, okay, so where the classification is not possible, but for this practical you can come up with different problem statement. For example, you can try this heart disease data set, where you can predict whether that person will have heart disease or not. So you have option between this Melbourne dataset or this UCI dataset. Short version of this dataset contains 14 attributes. Okay, so where you will have a predicted attribute here. Okay, so it will have means whether that person has heart disease or not. Okay, so based on these values you can predict that. So either you can use this Melbourne housing market dataset or UCI heart disease dataset. In order to understand the decision tree, you can refer these three links. Okay, so I will share these three links via Classroom. In this third video, that presenter uses UCI heart disease dataset. Okay, so you can see how he has used decision tree. Okay, so this is regarding lab 3. Okay, so we'll stop here.